Welcome back to the OBM Show, where we talk about what it really takes to build, grow, and lead as an online business manager. Now, today's guest is Jackie Appleby. She is the founder of Diligent Assist and someone who's been working as an OBM for over 7 years, long before she ever pursued accreditation. Now, Jackie didn't join OBM School to start her business from scratch. She joined because she wanted to make sure the business she had was built on best practices, solid systems, and long-term strategy. She came into the program already supporting clients, already leading a team, and still found ways to grow. So one of those big shifts that I want to get into in today's interview is hiring her own OBM right from her accreditation cohort. So in this conversation, we talk about what it looks like to evolve your OBM business over time, how to protect your time and team as you scale, and why managing chaotic clients is often the very reason OBMs exist in the first place. So if you've ever struggled with the balance between creating calm and supporting chaos, this one is for you. Let's dive in. Hey, Jackie, welcome to the OBM Show.
It's been like a long time coming.
And I feel like I always say that at the beginning of these shows, but I truly am so honored to have you on today's episode, sharing with us the wisdom that is Jackie's business. Now, you have been OBMing for a long time. I would love from the get-go for you to just share your origin story. Like, how on earth did you get wrapped up in this crazy industry that we all love?
Yes. Yeah, that's quite a story. I come from corporate, so I've been in like customer service, operations management for most of my working life. I took a little bit of a detour some years ago when I had younger kids who needed some extra support. And I actually started, believe it or not, a beauty salon, which I ran from
that
home.
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I was an esthetician now for a few years. And during that process, I was, I had clients coming in and the salon was doing pretty well. But every time a client canceled, I was like, now I get to go work on my operations. And there was a little bird that was like, that's not right. Like you're happier that you're not getting paid clients right now, so you can go work on a strategy plan for your business. So it was a really big eye opener for me that, whatever this kind of operational piece that I had was kind of built in, and that I needed to do something more with that. So I transitioned. I moved into being a VA at first, and then loved it so much, stumbled upon this woman called Sarah Noked.
Stumbled upon her. Crazy can of worms.
I know, right? Read the description for OBM and I'm like, oh my God, I am so not a VA. Because I've been working with my clients. I am not a doer. Like, I know that really well. And every client that I had taken on when I was running the VA business, I was getting into deeper and deeper conversations with them. So talking about strategy, I'm a big planner. So I'm talking about, well, we're not just going to fly by the seat of our pants, but we're actually going to plan some stuff and figure out how it fits into the bigger picture of you running your business, et cetera, et cetera. And it kind of just went from there.
I'm nodding my head, but I'm sure a lot of people listening to this podcast or watching us on YouTube are thinking, oh my God, I am in this exact same position with my client. So now you're kind of rocking and rolling. You're kind of taking over this bigger role in your business or in their businesses. And then what, because something's got to give, right? You can't just be the OBM in disguise forever.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've, over the last 8 years, I've grown to a multi-figure, six-figure business. Multi-figure. I mean, know what that probably with. You know what I mean?
Six-figure right? OBM business.
Yeah, multi-six-figure, that's right. And I already had hired some VAs to help me along the way because, as I mentioned, I don't do the doing. So I do need people who can support me in the doing and getting through that minutia and that repetitive stuff. But, as the team grew and, now I'm morphing into this new phase. I specialize in working with coaches and, I'm starting to develop very much a marketing handle on their business, like proprietary systems that I'm creating, all this stuff to help them grow. And it's just becoming more and more apparent that I need more help, that it was a different level than the VA. So I need somebody in the team that can help me manage my business rather than working with the clients, which is what my VAs tend to do. And so, I wanted to do the accreditation for a long time. It's been, I don't know how many business plans I've done every year, Sarah, that I've said. OBM School this year, OBMs. And there was a couple of things that made me kind of go in this direction, Sarah. One was, I knew from being an esthetician, ironically, that you can have a natural flair for something. Like I was always really good at like doing massages and stuff like that. But until I actually went and did like the facial course for aesthetics, I didn't learn all of the behind the scenes stuff that went with it, right? Like all of that, like you make it your own, but this is the foundation that you need to know. And even though I'd been working as an OBM for a long time and I already had access to, like I bought one of your packages years ago. So I had some of the Vault stuff already. I'd already modeled some stuff around that. But for me, it was really about, when I decided to take the certification, it was really about, I wanted to make sure that everything was aligned, that I was doing everything that I could be, that because you don't know what you don't know. And so I wanted to come in and make sure, do I know everything that I should be doing as an OBM? Other things that I can learn from Sarah and her team that are going to help me grow just that little bit more. And there absolutely was. And then, the other part of it was I was kind of like, well, I need an OBM. So why don't I get to one of the OBMs that are in the certification and see if there's a fit there. And then, I ended up in this amazing pod with 3 other ladies who are just as driven as I am and determined. And we went through a journey together. We took some assessments and learned about each other's strengths and weaknesses and where we excel. And ironically, all 4 of us in the pod are very different, which was
That's
really
so
interesting. Yeah, very different in terms of where our geniuses are. We did the working genius assessment. That was really cool. So understanding, there was some overlap, but there was also very clear distinction as to who fell in what. And so we've just continued those conversations, and it's been wonderful because we're all supporting each other. We're all coming at things from different angles. And it's just been a really great environment to hold more ideas and knowledge and guidance and support from. So
Yeah,
fantastic.
that fills up my cup because we're a very lone wolfish species, us OBM. So I think it's really so important to come together. And I know that, well, it's probably not the reason necessarily why they would want to join OBM accreditation, but ultimately this sort of byproduct of being in this high caliber community leads you to develop, I would say, lifelong relationships with the people in the program. Like I have been, accredited and certifying people for more than 10 years. And I can't tell you how many times I speak with someone, they're like, oh, I'm still in touch with so-and-so, and we talk once a month, and she's still kind of my accountability partner. And, we really lean on each other. And I think it's so important to have that. So I love that that's been your experience as well. And it's definitely a byproduct that I think is, not really explicit, but definitely a big part of joining a group program such as accreditation. So that's...
Yeah. And you saw my recent post in the group, right? So I start to be
I know.
one of the...
Okay, so how...
I
know.
know.
So I loved seeing, was it in our Confident OBM community or it was in our alumni group? It was both.
No, in the
so
Confident
Confident
one.
OBM community, yes, I saw that image come through and I was like, first of all, I had FOMO, naturally. I was like, I want to be there. I want to be hanging out in that kitchen, shooting the shit with you guys. That was...
Yeah. So we have a mutual friend, and I went to stay with my friend in Virginia, and this other OVM was like, well, I'm going to come visit.
I spoke with her.
I was blown away.
Emma was like, when I heard that so-and-so were meeting up, I made sure that I was there. And I was like, it is so amazing for us, introverted, behind the scenes, pajama-oriented individuals to be so excited to leave our houses. I was like, wow, I get it. Because when we come together, it's like we get each other. And there's something very magical about that. So I love seeing stuff like that. And I was so happy that you posted it in the group because it's just a wonderful piece of this puzzle that I think is just kind of overlooked. And it's such an important
Yep.
part. I mean, you know this because you've been working in the coaching space for eons, you know? So
Yeah.
I love that, we've talked a little bit about your journey and, how you've grown a beautiful team and it continues to evolve and just, working with people from our community. I'd love to hear a little bit about what your ideal clients like, both because I know everyone probably still listening to this podcast wants to know that. And also for those potential clients that find our podcast and are like, I need Jackie as my OBM.
Yeah. 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 So that's been a really interesting journey too. When I first started out as a VA, I kind of helped everybody and I quickly niched
How
into the
quickly?
coaching
But how
industry.
quickly? How quickly?
Like within the
Okay, within the
first
first
year.
year, yeah. Because that's why I tell people, I'm like,
Yeah,
don't try
because
to niche too fast, right? Like, you want to give yourself some time to feel through things. I usually say like 1 or 2 years before you're like locking down somebody. You need to you need to see what's out there, experiment.
yeah, and honestly, Sarah, a lot of it was like I didn't go into this thinking I'm going to serve
Yeah.
coaches. Like it was what was handed
Mm-hmm.
to me. One of the first clients I took on was a coach. She referred me to one of the International Coach Federation
Mm.
chapters who were working for BA at the time. So I've been with them for 8 years
Wow.
now,
Can you
and it
imagine
just grew
having an
from there.
OBM client for 8 years? Could you ever have imagined that for yourself? I feel like you
No,
need a certificate. You need a gold medallion for that.
right. Well, a few coaching clients later, and it was pretty obvious, and it was so nice. This is one of the things I talk about with niching in what I do now, because I actually, part of my OBM business is actually helping coaches figure out their niche. So it's a big part of what I do now, but it's really interesting in how it came together. And then what I've learned over the years is because I've niched, it's allowed me to become expert in certain things, right? So I said chapters, for instance, I think I look after 5 or 6 of those right now. And I've learned all of their pain points in terms of how their board of directors changes over every couple of years. And so you're literally starting with a new team every 2 years and you have to like show them the ropes because you're the only constant and the software that they use. And the same for my private coaching clients too. Like they have very specific needs when it comes to things like sales and marketing and how they get their clients and where they're putting their programs and courses and that kind of stuff. And they don't always know what that is. And over the years, I've really honed in on some great platforms that really them to do the work that they need to do just because I specialized in that, because I learned, really simple things like, one of the things I help them with is setting up their CRM. And when I do my what is the strategy session, I talk to them about, what do you want a questionnaire to go out ahead of time, asking your client where they're at in their journey and what that looks like. And they look at me like, how do you know that this is what I need in my coach? Like, I would like that, yes, but how do you know that I need that? And it's because and I took coach training myself. So, but it's because I've been so heavily ingrained in that industry that I've learned how things are changing. And, it's a constantly evolving world. What I've learned as an OBM is that the coaches that need my help are
Yeah.
coaches. They're not business owners and they don't always know how to run a business. And,
Yes.
and so there has been a level of the work that I'm doing where they are literally saying to me, I want to send this email out. What do you think? I want to, I'm thinking about this for my pricing. What do you think? And so I'm working with them on that level to help them get their business optimized because they don't know. Like the one of the biggest things right now, Sarah, is credit card
Yes.
compliant. And a lot of people in business don't know that they need to have platforms that are secure and enable them to process credit card payments and that you can't take them over the
Yeah,
phone
yeah, yeah.
anymore.
Yes.
Right? That is a big no-no. And a lot of them don't know that. And so, this is also part of being an OBM for me is understanding these nuances of running an actual business, whether it's coaching or whether it's
I love that you mentioned about how the client is so visionary and because we were talking about this in the call I had before we're recording this podcast was our alumni accreditation call. And one of the things that we were discussing was this very fact that as online business managers who are very proficient in planning and project management and being organized and kind of priding ourselves on that, we often forget the client's shortcomings because they're very visionary and they're a little bit more scatterbrained. And I think you said it best, like a little bit of chaotic and unstructured and maybe even a hot mess. So I want to talk a little bit more about what this visionary client looks like so that if somebody's listening here today and they are like, can I do this? Can I work? Can I even offer these kinds of services? On one hand, obviously, there's a lot around the transferable skills and recognizing your transferable skills and kind of owning it as an online business manager and that whole piece of it. But then there's this other piece of the client. And I feel like you did a really great job speaking about how they're visionary and how we can really support them. But really, how do you balance supporting that, right? Like, the clients need structure, but you also need like structure and calm and planning and, proper communication. How do you support the client that is, not a hot mess? I mean a hot mess, but like with all the love and respect in my heart, but who's a little bit scattered? How can you really sort of wrangle
Yeah.
that in? And how can you sort of also sort of exemplify what that might look like to somebody who's really like, what? I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, for sure. I had an analogy for this a little while ago. It's almost like the messy child that you're following behind, picking up all the toys and putting them back in the box while they're like being totally creative.
Jack, you're
Right.
killing me. That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah, yeah.
No
No
offense.
offense to
We love
anybody
you
watching. I'm
guys.
not
We
really
need
trying
we
to
need
look
you. We need you. But we're running by. We're making sure you're picking up those toys.
nothing. And that's what I've learned over the years, Sarah, is, certainly the clientele that
Yeah.
I work with, they are high, they are very visionary. They're full of ideas. And that's one of their biggest challenges because they don't want to not do something, right? They've got an idea here and an idea there, and it comes to them when they're
Yeah.
in the shower or walking the dog or whatever. And then they'll send me an email saying, I just thought of this, 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 and this. And so I have learned over the years that I very tactfully have to say one thing at a time. Like, let's make one thing work first and then move to the next one. And that's been something that's very evident in the work I'm doing with them on their niche. A lot of coaches are like, but I help this person and I help this person and I help this person, and they're all different. So I really try to help them see, well, what is a common thread that is connecting all of those people? Right. So, for instance, I had one client that I worked with a number of years ago, and she was like, Jackie, I work with executives, but I also work with, new leaders, and I work with stay-at-home moms that have gone through all of these things, and I can't pinpoint what my niche is, and I don't know what's going on. And so we had a conversation. We did one of my strategy sessions, and it turned out that all of the people that she worked with had an issue with self-love. Like, they were high performers because they had these hidden demons that didn't allow them to really love themselves, right? It was all about, I have to be, out there performing all the time because I don't feel very highly about myself. And so that wasn't about them being an executive or a stay-at-home mom. It was about, what had gone on in their life from a trauma perspective. And once we honed in on that, it then became very clear what the offers were that she needed to offer, the language that she needed to use. So that's kind of where I help bring people hone in a little bit more. That's how I tend to work with them. But it is a case of you have to pick one. Like, I love the rule of 4 1s. I think it's one client type, like one ICA, one product, 1 year, and one marketing platform to get started. And that really helps, because when you're so scattered, you get to a point where overwhelm comes in naturally because you're trying to split yourself between all these different pieces. And that's when the coaches run into trouble. Then they start to, get burned out and drop things and what have you. So that's something that I do. I also use a project management system with all of my clients, and some of them really shove hard against it because it's new, and I use ClickUp, which is one of the more complicated ones. If you are not tech savvy, it can feel very overwhelming. But it's been an amazing tool for my team and my clients to know what's coming up. They can look at their list and they have tasks and we have tasks, and they can see what we're working on and we can see what they're doing, and we build the process. Like a simple blog, for instance. I've already mapped that out for the client. So 2 weeks before your blog is due, you and I are going to meet and have a conversation about the topic. And then I'll give you an outline, and then you'll go write it, and then I'll edit it and do the SEO. So we've built this whole process, but it's all mapped with dates. It's repeatable. It's in our system. So every month when we've done one, I just flip it to the next month and we start again. And they know exactly what they're doing and when the deliverables are. And they actually really like it, Sarah. I think for somebody who is high visionary, so many of my clients have said to me, can you just give me a list? Can you just tell me what I need to do? Just tell me what needs to be done this week. And so some of them need that, and I'm okay with that.
I think it's so interesting. I think that this leads me to very nicely into my next question, which is, what has leading your clients in this way and leading a team in this way really taught you about your own leadership style?
Yeah, and that's been an interesting journey for me too. I mean, coming from corporate, leadership, and from banking corporate too, where, they're all about leadership. And, I had to go do the in-house coach training years ago before I even got into the coaching industry. So, I had done a little bit of work, but there was always a sense of, the feedback I had always gotten was, you don't say this right, and people find you a little harsh. And I've tried up for years, Sarah, being in Canada, to, well, it's just the British in me, so you can take it or leave it. I am a little bit sugarcoat, I don't sugarcoat things.
You say it straight.
But I do I do tell my clients, I set that expectation up front, and I think that's the big thing, right? So I set the expectation up front when we first start working together. It's in my contract. I make it very clear. We're going to be using ClickUp. If you don't want to use ClickUp, great. Tell me what you want to use, and we will use your platform. But you have to have one. That is number one, right? And so just things like that, setting the boundaries, setting the expectations. That's something I've had to learn in my role of leading.
Around the tech, boundaries around the systems that you're going to be using. This is amazing. Tell more. More boundaries.
Yeah. So, boundaries are a huge thing. I work weekends, but I don't tell anyone that I work weekends. So, one of the things that I've been really good at is people will send stuff through, and I'm like, I just don't respond. So I set that right from the get-go. Was I work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. I have 2 days a week that I don't take client calls on, so that I can actually get some stuff done and work on my business. And that's been really great. And I have clients quite often that says, I looked at your calendar and there's nothing in that. Can you fit me in on Friday? And I just simply respond and say, my calendar has all of my up-to-date information. It doesn't, you don't have to explain. You don't have to, tell people how you run your business. And that was something that I had to learn leading my business, Sarah, is because I wanted to do that, right? I'm a bit of an obliger. So I was like, oh no, I can't because I don't. And I've learned over the years that I don't need to explain why I do things the way that I do. The boundaries are set right from the get-go. I work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. If you need something done urgently, you need to contact me through ClickUp, because I don't even look at my inbox throughout the day. I do it in the morning and I do it at night. And if you send me something in between, it is not going to get seen. So look, these are the kind of expectations and boundaries that I've set with all of my clients right from the get-go. And for the most part, I get the odd one or two that try to shove something in around the corner.
Those silly
for the most part.
What are they thinking? They're like, no, girl, I have, So were these changes that happened in the last couple of years, or were they changes that you've just sort of just been refining? And, because I feel like you figured out very quickly who your client niche was. And obviously, the coaching network, the coaching industry has many different kinds of coaches. There's a spectrum there as well. And so how did you know? How do you?
It kind of it does evolve over time, Sarah. And I think as a business owner and an OBM, that's something that you have to be prepared for. Is what you do now isn't necessarily what you'll be doing exactly in 2 years or 10 years. Right? So just being prepared for that growth, for that that piece. You know, when I started, I took anybody, and then I niched into coaching, and it was only a few years ago that I was actually in a position to turn people down and say, no, I don't work with anyone unless they're a coach. And that was a great feeling, right?
I bet. Talk about looking
was
back and being like, wow, that's all culminated into this. Look at me. That's incredible.
Yeah, that was a great feeling. Some of the things I had in place right from the get-go, like I have never used texting for business. That was like a hard line in the sand right from the get-go. I have a landline for my business. If you need something urgent, you can pick up the phone and call me between 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And if I'm available, I will answer the phone, but you can't text me. I don't do that. We have ClickUp, which has, it's got style environment.
Yeah, a little real-time communication thing.
So they can always message me there. But again, once my day is done, I'm not responding to any of that. So, you know, those boundaries were like really early on. Now we're moving into another phase.
Tell me more, because after 8 years of this space, what does that success look like for you now?
So whilst I'm still working with coaches, now I'm getting into a phase of and it's a small but a big thing, being very aware of those coaches that are growth mindset. So those that are like, okay, I don't work with that software right now, but I'm prepared to give it a go.
Oh, I love
versus those people that are like, there are those coaches that are like, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. Right. It has to be something like, I don't want a coach to change their business to work with me necessarily, but I've had a lot of success with knowing some of the things that do work for coaches and some of the things that I've become an expert in putting together. Like Google Workspace, for instance, is a game changer. So one of my criteria right now is if you're not on Google Workspace, I can't work with you. Because we need access to your shared drive. We need to be able to collaborate on documents in real time. You know, there's a whole slew of different things that you need a proper email address, not @gmail.com. You need to be on at least, I think it's the business plan, which gives it a proper shared drive. You know, I had clients that were on Dropbox before and stuff like that. And for me, Dropbox is, it's another system that I have to put in place. And Dropbox works slightly differently where if they have filled up their drive, I can't access it properly, and you don't get that on Google. So that's a small thing, like moving forward now as I'm taking on, and I don't have a ton of room for new retainer clients right now, but you know, I do look and see who's out there. Are they a great fit? Do they have Google Workspace? You know,
are they
open-minded? Are they open-minded when it comes to looking at from a different angle and not
this
doing
growth mindset that you're mentioning is such a beautiful piece to share with our community about a green flag. Because so often we're like, red flags, all the red flags. But something that's like, wow, this is really, you know, having that growth mindset, being open to evolving and learning new technology, because that's who survives in this industry, I think is such an important point that you've made. Now, for somebody who's listening, who's already working as an OBM, but maybe is feeling stuck or stagnant, what would you say to them about this power of refinement that you're discussing? You know, you've been refining your business over the years. And, you know, maybe if you could look back to Jackie, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, you know, when you were maybe refining, although I'm not sure you ever felt stuck or stagnant. Did you ever feel stuck?
Yeah, I mean, there's been times when, you know, when COVID hit, Sarah, I had a beautiful downtown office, an full-time employee, and, you know, some things kind of fell apart. I mean, COVID didn't really impact in terms of we're already virtual, so that didn't make a difference. But the world turned on its head. People got a little worried. People started, you know, oh, I don't think I can do your services right now. I lost a few clients. But I actually had to pack up my office and move back to working from home. And I had to lay off my one full-time employee that I had at the time. And so that changed an awful lot of things for me. You know, now I don't have employees at the moment. They're all subcontractors.
And are you happy?
I may well get that. Yes and no. I mean, I loved being in a swanky office with my team right there. Like that was really nice. But there's a cost implication to that. So you have to be prepared to deal with that. But I mean, to anyone that's feeling stuck, I think the main thing, and I know some people might think that this is a little woo-woo and a little out there, but For me, it's always about the energy that you
I love
bring.
that.
As long as you are looking forward, as long as you are, I'm not saying that you have to work 60 hours a week, but be deliberate about the things that you're doing, right? It's not, don't just pluck them, out of thin air and like pricing, for instance. Oh, well, so-and-so's charging this. The thing that I've heard for a long time, Sarah, is, oh, Sarah recommends this number per hour, right? And I'm always like, yeah, but you can't just run with that because that's kind of a
Right.
guideline. You need to figure
You
out
need to
what
take the
works for
pricing
you.
spreadsheet and put your circumstances in there and see what number it
Accurate.
spits out. And then you can readjust or reevaluate what that looks like inside of your structures. Yeah. I always try to be very clear about that. I'm like, yes, an industry benchmark is 65 US dollars an hour, but it's also different strokes for different folks. We've got OBMs that charge $200 an hour. We've got OBMs that charge still $8 an hour. So,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's all part of the same thing that I teach my coaches is build the business that works for you, not what everybody else is doing. And be deliberate about the actions that you're taking. So don't just pluck things from
Yeah.
thin air, but do planning. I do annual planning every year. Does it always come to
No.
fruition? Not everything's on
Yeah.
my list because I have way too much on
Yes.
there.
Because when we
But
plan,
one
then
or
the
two
universe
things.
laughs also.
Guess what was on my 2025 planning that I did last
OBM
year?
School.
OBM
I'm so glad.
certification. So when you put it out there, like when you like voice it, put it out there and say, this is what I'm going to do. And here's how I'm going to do it. It happens. It happens every time when you get deliberate about things. I put out a notion in April of this year that I was not going to work with any more clients that were on a retainer that were less than 20 hours a month. And then I lost
I
2
remember
small
that.
clients
I
right off the
remember
bat.
that.
Right? Not anything that I'd done, not anything
Yeah.
that they'd done, just circumstance changed. And right away I was like, oh my God. And I was in sheer panic. And then like not 6 weeks later, I had 2 new clients come in that were worth way more, that had way more hours. And I remember saying to myself, Jackie, you kind of put it
Yeah.
out there. You
That's what I
told the
tell people all the time. Like,
universe
be careful what you wish
what.
for. You will put it, if you put it out there and you get it, you better be prepared to own that.
Yeah. So, one of the biggest things I think to be a little bit more precise is don't be just like, I need more
Right.
clients, but figure out how much money do you need exactly to do this, this, and this? What does that equate to in terms of 1 client, 2 clients, 3 clients? Like, what does that want? And then write that down. I need 3 strategy sessions this month. I need 4 new 20-hour plus retainer clients that are looking for this, this, and this to be done. When you get that clear
Like getting
and you
granular.
put
Yes.
that down, yeah, like for me, the universe just opens and delivers.
I'm with you
And
on
and
that
we're
one. I definitely feel you on that one. So my final question for you, and I think we've been kind of leading up to this, but what would be one lesson you wish every OBM would learn sooner rather than later?
oh my goodness, that's a really tough one. I mean, I'm a big fan of the process, Sarah, and that's a big piece you teach in OBM School. For me, that's the biggest eye-opener in terms of designing the process,
Yes.
making sure that things, like you can avoid the errors and you can make improvements when you fully understand what the process is. So don't be afraid to design that. And whether that's for you or whether that's for your client, like designing as an OBM, designing my client journey and my onboarding was one of the best things that I ever did. Getting really clear. And now I have people who come into my sales call and they're like, oh my God, Jackie, I booked the call. I filled out your questionnaire at the same time. And then I got a reminder email that had your testimonials on it and an FAQ about working with you all before I came to the call. Can you build that for me? And I haven't even opened
So the
until
client's
like
ready to sign. I mean, yes, you've been sharing absolutely such wisdom in today's session, Jackie. I mean, I feel like you and I could go on and on and on, and one day we will in person. I want to be taking that picture with you and posting it in the Confident OBM community. So I promise this coming down the pipeline. And Jackie, we are going to leave all of your information below this video whether you're watching on YouTube or you're catching our podcast, in the show notes, so that if you want to get in touch with Jackie, by all means. She is an incredible OBM. She is accredited. She is a coach. And I think that you have just tons, you are brimming with wisdom. No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do. What I love about Jackie's story is that it's not about a single transformation. It is about an evolution. She's not just doing the work. She's leading the work. She's growing her team. She's choosing better fit clients. She's redefining what success looks like after 8+ years in the game. And she's doing it with boundaries, integrity, and intention. So Jackie's a reminder that accreditation isn't just for people getting started. It's for people who are ready to refine, to sharpen their leadership, to tighten their systems and their processes, and to keep growing without losing sight of what matters, which is what we're all here for. Now, if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you subscribe. If you're watching it on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell. And if you are ready to take your OBM business to the next level, whether you're starting or scaling, head to obmaccreditation.com to learn more and apply. Again, all of Jackie's details are linked in the show notes and the description below. Until next time, keep building the business behind the business, and I'll see you guys in our next episode.